The mountains were calling and I had to go. Well, specifically the Himalayas. Let me take you on a long drive to see and know more of Ladakh. Ladakh lies to the northernmost part of India. It was a part of Jammu Kashmir but now is a union territory since 31st October 2019. It consists of two districts, Kargil and Leh. And yeah, I too thought Kargil was in Kashmir. Dras is the first town of Ladakh you enter when coming from Srinagar, and the convoy of army trucks passing is a common sight in Ladakh. The Srinagar-Leh highway is numbered as NH1. Dras is the world's second coldest inhabited place and is also called as a gateway to Ladakh. Since this part is closer to Kashmir, the mountains are a little green, but when we go more towards Leh, the mountain becomes barren and some even have interesting colors. The Kargil War Memorial is built by the Indian Army to commemorate the 1999 Kargil War between India and Pakistan, where around 500 Indian soldiers lost their lives fighting for the nation. While we are on the road, let me give you some on-the-road tips. 1. Truck drivers may spit outside, so be careful while overtaking. 2. Wear something to cover your nose and mouth, preferably ears too. 3. Listen to some Buddhist prayer songs while in the car, it feels soothing. 4. If a polluting vehicle goes ahead of you, it will irritate the entire landscape viewing experience, so either stay ahead of the truck or overtake them. Road repairing works are a common sight and can halt your travel for some time, if you're lucky, even for hours. So add some buffer time while planning your travel by road. Ladakh starts after crossing the police checkpost at Mughalpura at the border of Jammu and Kashmir, and on the way to Dras, you'll also see the work going on for the tunnel project between Srinagar and Leh, which when completed will provide uninterrupted road connectivity from Srinagar to Leh. Just to give a background, there are two roads to enter Ladakh. One is from Srinagar and the other is from Manali, and both the roads are closed in the winter season due to the snow. We are moving towards Kargil town, which is some 60 kilometers from Dras. A driver from Leh is not allowed to drive in certain areas of Kargil. So if you want to extensively roam in Kargil, take a local taxi from Kargil. According to the locals, the name Kargil comes from the word Gar and Gil, which means meeting point for anyone to come and stay. 5 different paths connect at Kargil, one from Srinagar, one from Leh, one from Zanskar, one from Hunderman, and one from Aryan Valley. We can spend 2 to 5 nights in Kargil as we have a few things to do here. Excursion to Suru Valley is one thing you don't want to miss, which I missed. In summers, daylight stays almost till 8 pm and sun rises around 5 am. Quite a few hotels in Kargil may not serve or entertain alcohol, so if you want to drink, get your own stock and drink inside your room. We stayed at The Kargil, a hotel built in the place of a bombed house. The bunker used to escape the bomb strikes during the Kargil war is still preserved in the hotel compound. one of the Pakistani bombshell that fell in the area. Munshi Aziz Bhatt Museum in Kargil showcases the history of Central Asia and the importance of Kargil in it. We are on the way to Hundarman, the last village of India on the line of control in Kargil, in a local taxi. Prior to the 1971 war, Hundarman was occupied by Pakistan and now is with India. The people here still have relatives on the other side whom they can't meet by just walking down the valley, as they now have country borders in between. On the top there is a point where a man rents out binoculars to see the border and the army bunkers of both sides. Some of the army bunkers are very high up in the mountains. We can also see a deserted village on the Pakistani side, and if lucky, one can hear firing practice of the soldiers, which also makes you shit scared. At some places the roads are a little dangerous, especially the curves, but the local drivers easily drive on it. A car falling from here will seem like an eraser falling from a desk. Hundarman is 10 kilometers from Kargil, and the entire excursion can be a 2-hour affair. The massive mountains will make one feel really humble. The present Hundarman village is almost at the base of the mountain, and the people here work as porters for the Indian Army. This was the actual village, which is now deserted. Some left for better prospects and some left after the Kargil war. There is a museum here which showcases the Pakistani army's equipments like water bottle, first aid kit, etc. and also the bombshells. Just above the old Hundarman village, there is an army post where we went and had a chat with the army men. Even though there is no war going on, they have to be always ready for one and have to keep on training. Since the post seemed to be isolated, I asked one of the army men how much time it will take for a backup to arrive if there was an attack. He said 5 to 10 minutes, and which is really amazing given the terrain. We are now heading towards Lamayuru. The distance between Kargil and Lamayuru is some 100 kilometers and can be reached in 3 hours, as the roads are mostly smooth. On the way, there is a place called Mulbek, which is famous for its monastery. It's some half an hour from Kargil. Like we see coconut trees in all the directions when in Kerala, in Ladakh it's mountains in all the directions. With the blue sky, white clouds, light brown mountains and dark grey road, the drive is a pretty scenic one. Getting a lift on the highway is a difficult task. Mostly only the army trucks stop to give you a lift. The scenic landscape and the long drives through them is what etches Ladakh to your mind. You can literally stop your car anywhere on the way and enjoy the view. You can't get cars on rent in Ladakh, and other state tourist vehicles are not allowed, so you have to hire a local taxi. The drivers are very nice and helpful. Also, the rates are fixed and you don't have to worry about getting overcharged. You can also get the rate chart online. I have put the link in the description below if you want to refer it. Private vehicles are allowed, but it's a bit dangerous to drive on some roads. Henniskot is the last village of Kargil district, and Khardung is the last food stop before entering the Leh district. Visit places like it's the house of the people staying there and not just as a destination. Photula is the highest pass on Srinagar-Leh highway at an elevation of 4,100 meters. After this pass, you will come across lots of bad patches on the road. Lamayuru, also called as the Moonland of Ladakh, is the first village of the Leh district while coming from Kargil on the Srinagar-Leh highway. Local legend has it that the place was once a lake that dried up. The village has around 100 houses scattered around the Lamayuru Monastery. The Lamayuru Monastery is the oldest and one of the largest monasteries in India. If you're interested in trekking, you can go to Wanla, some 6 kilometers from the Lamayuru Monastery. These light golden colored mountains are called Moonland or Moonscape and is rumored to have emerged after the lake that existed here dried up. Ladakh is famous for its monasteries and there are a lot of them. They're all Tibetan Buddhist monasteries and have a painting of the Wheel of Life. Now, the Wheel of Life indicates that we are stuck in a never-ending cycle of existence and our aim should be to get liberated from this cycle. In the hub of the wheel, there are 3 animals, a pig, a snake and a bird. They represent ignorance, aversion or anger, and attachment or desire. This is the root of all the evil and the whole cycle of existence evolves from these 3 poisons. Then there is a layer of karma, which you all know. Then there is a layer of 6 realms of rebirth depending on a karma. Now we are in the human realm. Then there is an outer layer with 12 links which shows how the process happens. Then there is a fearsome figure holding the wheel representing impermanence, which means everything in the wheel is constantly changing. Above the wheel to the right is a moon which represents liberation from this wheel of life, and to the left there is Buddha pointing to the moon representing the path to liberation. Food is not that great in Ladakh as compared to the other parts of India, but the local dishes are a must try, especially the thukpa. Also, you get some momos here. Most of the restaurant and hotel staffs here are from Himachal Pradesh, mainly from Manali. We are now heading towards Nurla as our night stay is at the Apricot Tree Hotel in Nurla. The distance between Lamayuru and Nurla is some 30 kilometers and falls on the Srinagar-Leh highway. The most commonly used vehicle as a taxi in Ladakh is a Toyota Innova, and hence you will see a lot of it on road. Like Kashmir, Ladakh too doesn't have any residential apartments or buildings. It's all family houses. There's no concept of marriage hall or event centers. All the family events are celebrated at their own houses and the courtyard. Hotels in Ladakh are not like the traditional hotels, but resemble a large Ladakhi house. Almost all of them are boutique hotels which also include tent stays. Then there are some hotels with caravan stays and heritage rooms and luxury tents, etc. This is a view from the Apricot Tree Hotel at Nurla, where we are staying for the night. This is the Indus River and we have to cross it to start the hike to Tar village, one of the must-do things in Ladakh. The start point for the trek is pretty close to the Apricot Tree Hotel. The other close by hikes are the Themisgam hike and the Wanla hike. The Tar village hike is a fairly easy one, but the altitude makes it slightly difficult. To give a background, Ladakh is a high altitude region. Even the lowest point in Ladakh is above 2,500 meters, which is actually considered as the minimum height from which the altitude sickness starts. At high altitude, the air pressure drops and the oxygen level too is low, which makes it hard to breathe. And over that, if we do a physical activity, breathing becomes more difficult. This is a Tar village, and resting in a shade on the green grass after a hike is solace. The bridges on the raging river sometimes feel like a miracle. Almost all the bridges in Ladakh are either truss bridges or Bailey bridges, which is again a form of truss bridge. These bridges only have support at the end points and nothing at the bottom. This is the small market at the entry to the Alchi monastic complex. Alchi is regarded as one of the most important Buddhist centers in Ladakh and also a heritage site as it is some 1,000 years old. The complex has 5 shrines which has some splendid wall paintings. Besides the monastery, there is a very small museum showcasing the Ladakhi lifestyle, which is literally in a small hut. Near the Alchi monastic complex, there's a restaurant called Alchi Kitchen, which is an open kitchen restaurant, and you can see how dishes are being prepared. We tried the mutton thukpa. Thukpa is basically a local noodle and soup dish, and stuffed khambir. Khambir is again a local bread, and it tasted delicious. On some days, there may be a wait period, so plan your schedule accordingly. Enfields can also be seen on the roads of Ladakh and is a common sight like Innovas. The road trips in a car is safe and comfortable. Road trips on a bike is a different experience altogether. You can literally feel the place you're moving through, and solo bike trips magnifies that feeling even more. Technically, Ladakh is a rain shadow area, which means either it doesn't rain at all, or if it rains so less that it's almost equal to none. But that's changing off lately. The 2010 cloudburst in Ladakh had claimed several lives and caused damages. July and August is when it rains in Ladakh, if at all. During my 9 days in Ladakh, I didn't come across any rain apart from some slight drizzling, even though I was there in the second half of July. Till now, all the points we covered were on the Srinagar-Leh highway: Dras, Kargil, Lamayuru, Nurla, Alchi, and now we are going towards Leh. This is a meeting point of the Indus River and the Zanskar River. This is near Nemo, near to Leh, which is also called the Sangam. The confluence is not visible now, but when the water is clear, you can see the bluish Zanskar River and the greenish Indus River coming together. You can Google the pictures. This is also the end point of river rafting, kayaking and canoeing which happens over here. So how do you reach Ladakh? By road, as I mentioned earlier, there are two highways that enter Ladakh. One is from Srinagar and the other from Manali. Both roads are only open from May to September as it is covered by snow for the remaining months. From Srinagar, Leh is some 420 kilometers and from Manali, it's some 470 kilometers. Road from Manali to Leh has 5 high passes and the roads are usually in a bad state. Hence, reaching Leh from Manali in a day is almost impossible and not recommended. Reaching from Srinagar to Leh in a day is quite possible and there are share taxis that do it too. It takes some 12 hours and 3,000 rupees per person. You also get direct buses from Jammu, Srinagar, Manali and Delhi to Leh. By train, there is no connectivity to Ladakh as of yet, though there is a Srinagar-Kargil Leh line in the plans and also the Bilaspur-Manali Leh line estimated to cost some 83,000 crores. This will take a long time to be a reality. For now, you'll have to use a combination of rail and road travel. For entering from Srinagar, you can take a train to Jammu Tawi or Katra and then take a bus to Banihal and then a train to Srinagar and then again a bus or taxi to Ladakh. For coming from Manali, you can take a mainline train till Pathankot and then a train to Jogindarnagar, which is some 150 kilometers from Manali. From there, a taxi to Manali or bus to Mandi and then another bus to Manali and then finally a bus or taxi to Ladakh. I know, yeah. And then comes the easiest way to reach Ladakh, and that is by taking a direct flight to Leh. Leh is the only airport in Ladakh as of now, but a few other airports are in plan. Leh airport is a defense airport and hence commercial operations are only allowed till 12 pm. Photography is strictly prohibited on the airport premises. Reaching Ladakh by road has a benefit though. Since Ladakh is at an high altitude, you are bound to catch altitude sickness. Even if you don't, your body will still need time to acclimatize to the high altitude. In traveling by road, we are gradually reaching to the high altitude, which gives time to the body to be prepared for the high altitude, as compared to a flight that suddenly leaves you at an altitude of 3,500 meters. So we have reached Leh, and this road is called the Changspa Road, a famous road in Leh. This is the Shanti Stupa, a major attraction of Leh. It's usually crowded here. View from the Shanti Stupa is one of the reasons people visit this place. You get a bird's eye view of the Leh town from here. If you arrive by flight, then please make sure that you stay at your hotel for the entire day and take complete rest so that your body gets acclimatized to the altitude. The Hall of Fame is a museum that is constructed and maintained by the Indian Army. The museum is built in memory of soldiers who has lost their lives through the Indo-Pak Wars. A 30-minute light and sound show showcasing the Kargil War happens here. Three days a month you don't get non-veg and alcohol in Ladakh. It's called dry days, and those 3 days are fixed according to the Tibetan calendar. One is the 8th day, others are the full moon and the new moon day. At night it gets a bit scary to walk on the roads of Leh, as it's completely deserted, especially if you're alone. The Ladakhi people are good, but the dogs here look a bit dangerous. We're on the way to the morning prayers at Thikse Monastery, which is 16 kilometers from Leh. The prayers usually start at 6 in the morning, and it takes almost half an hour to reach the monastery from Leh. This is a beautiful Thikse Monastery, and it's not even 6 am in the morning, but look at the sunlight. This is the entrance to the monastery. Just ahead of the red gateway there's a toilet, and the view from there is amazing. I would say it's one of the toilets in the world that has the best views. Do take a piss there if you're visiting. Two young monks are getting ready to blow the telescopic trumpet called Dungchen. This is basically a prayer call and is blown before the prayer starts. It's said that the sound from the trumpet resembles the singing of elephants. I've just recorded it, let's hear it. You are very much allowed to sit inside the prayer hall to attend the prayers, and you'll also be served butter tea. There is a decent hotel and restaurant at the bottom of the monastery where you can stay if you want to comfortably attend the morning prayers. Almost all the monasteries are situated at a certain height from the ground level, and hence the views are beautiful. We are on the Leh-Manali highway now and heading towards the Hemis Monastery. Thikse too falls on the Leh-Manali highway. One important thing to keep in mind is that prepaid SIM cards don't work in Ladakh, only postpaid does. So you won't even be able to get incoming calls if you're a prepaid user. BSNL and Airtel are the top network providers here. Jio has just entered and works pretty fine. BSNL is the most preferred network as it has good coverage throughout Ladakh, unlike Airtel and Jio, which has good coverage only in Leh and the surrounding areas. This is the Hemis Monastery of the Drukpa sect, very famous for the Hemis festival that happens every year in June-July. There is also a museum here where you learn about the 8 auspicious signs of Buddhist paintings, amongst other things. We are heading back to Leh, but on a different road. This runs parallel to the Manali-Leh highway, and you can see a lot of trees planted on both sides of the road by the Drukpa Rinpoche. At Stakna, we take a right and get back to the Manali-Leh highway, and there is also a monastery in Stakna as well. If you want to experience glamping in Leh, there's a property called TUTC Chamba Camp near Thikse. It's extremely luxury and costs around 60 to 70,000 for a night, all inclusive. We are on our way to the Nubra Valley via the famed Khardung La Pass. Khardung La was once the highest motorable pass in the world, but now I guess it's the second or third highest. There's a new structure being built in Leh on the way to Khardung La on the lines of Shanti Stupa, but a bit grander. To enter some areas in Ladakh, you need permits, and Khardung La is one of them. This is South Pulu, a checkpost where your permit is checked. It takes some 45 minutes to reach here from Leh and another 45 minutes to Khardung La top from here. The road condition from Leh till here is very good, but from here to Khardung La top it's bad. There are small restaurants here serving hot Maggi, samosas and biscuits amongst other things. There's also a washroom which charges 10 rupees per person and is not that good. So this is the Khardung La top. We couldn't get good views from the top as it was very cloudy. And just look at the number of Innovas here. There's literally no other cars. Cycling down from the Khardung La to Leh is very surreal experience and I would say a must do. The roads are winding and slopey and hence it's slightly dangerous, but the thrill is amazing. The cycles that we get here are all MTBs in good condition and hence safe. You don't get cycles in Khardung La top, but you will have to arrange for it from Leh itself and they'll bring it to the top and you can cycle down. This is North Pulu, the checkpost on the other side of Khardung La while going towards Nubra Valley. So if you're coming from Nubra Valley, your permits will be checked here. Also, the washrooms here are good. There are small restaurants here too. Near the Nubra Valley, there's a place called Khalsar, from where the road splits into the two arms of Nubra Valley. Apart from Nimmo, rafting also happens at Khalsar on the Shok River, but rapids are minimal. I'll quickly tell you the entry fees at some of the main attractions of Ladakh that we covered. Lamayuru Monastery, the entry fee is 50 rupees. Alchi Monastic Complex is 100 rupees. Thikse Monastery is 30 rupees. Hemis Monastery is 50 rupees for Indians and 100 rupees for foreigners. Hall of Fame is 200 rupees for Indians and 400 rupees for foreigners. Sand dunes at Nubra Valley are good to visit, best for walking around and soaking in the landscape of Nubra Valley. Quad biking and Bactrian camel ride are the prime attraction. There's also archery, which is an important sport in Ladakh. Quad biking is 1000 rupees for a round and camel ride is 300 rupees for 15 minutes, 450 for half an hour and 800 for an hour. The sand dunes and camel ride I talked about was at Hundar, that lies on one of the arms of Nubra. There are also sand dunes at Sumur, which lies on the other arm, and all the activities happen there as well. Technically, the sand dunes in Nubra Valley is a part of the highest desert in the world called Katpana Desert, which stretches from Khaplu Valley in POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, to Nubra Valley in Ladakh. This is a huge statue of a seated Maitreya Buddha at Diskit. It is 106 foot tall and covered with 8 kilograms of gold. This statue was built with 3 aims: 1. Protection of Diskit village, 2. Prevention of further war with Pakistan, and 3. To promote world peace. Nubra Valley is quite a remote place, and hence a lot of things are unavailable readily. So if you need a cake, you'll have to pre-order the cake at your hotel. Also, there is only 3.5 hours of electricity a day in the valley, but hotels have generator, so they have 24-hour electricity. Smoking is banned in Nubra Valley. Both selling and smoking cigarette in public is prohibited. So if you want to smoke, you'll have to carry cigarettes from Leh itself. Glamping in Nubra Valley happens at 2 properties that I know of. One is Desert Himalaya and the other one is TUTC. Both are in Diskit. Desert Himalayas also have caravan stays. This is not a river crossing activity but a case of a missing road. Yes, as the snow melts at the adjacent mountains, the water comes down in great force, bringing stones and pebbles along with it and covering the entire section of the road. This is on the way to Turtuk, the last village of India from the Nubra side. Snow melting causes such problems and it can eat a lot of your travelling time. Hence, you should always consider buffer time while planning the excursions. Road to Turtuk is a little dangerous as there are mountains with falling rocks, and hence we have to keep an eye on the mountains to see if any stones or rocks are falling. Turtuk is some 85 kilometers from Hundar and takes more than 2 hours to reach. That is, the road is proper and there is no disruption. In our case, we took more than 3 hours as we were stuck. 15 kilometers from Turtuk, there is a place called Takshi, and from there you can see the line of control. On reaching Turtuk, you have to cross a bridge to enter the village, and below the bridge flows a stream of fresh water coming from the melting glacier above. Let's hear the sound of it. We returned from Turtuk the same day and stayed at Sumur for the night. Now we are heading towards Pangong Lake, another must-visit location in Ladakh. You can directly go to Pangong from Nubra Valley via 2 ways. One is from the Shok village and the other is from Warila, which is longer. The first option is the most preferred and the ride is alongside the Shok river. This route doesn't have any high passes and is fairly flat. One drawback though is that the road may be washed away by melting waters from the nearby mountain, or the road may also be closed due to the swelling of the Shok river. So when you reach Agam, which is the junction from where you choose any one of the route, just ask the villagers if the road is open and drivable. If it is not, then you can go via Warila, which has 2 high passes and will take much longer to reach the Pangong Lake. Again, going to Pangong requires a permit which will be checked at the Shok village. The village also has washrooms, restaurants and homestays. Even Turbuk, which is approximately 45 minutes from here, has restaurants and washrooms. But the best washrooms on this road is a little ahead of Agam, built by the Border Road Organization. Between Agam and Shok, there are few points where the road is washed away by the waters coming from the adjacent mountains. Hence, it's good to avoid sedans and hatchbacks. SUVs are better, and it's best if it has a high ground clearance and a 4-wheel drive. Dil Se was the first movie to be shot at Pangong. The beautiful song Satrangi Re features the lake along with other locations in Ladakh. One of the scenes is in the Thikse Monastery, and the location is featured in this video itself. You can see the exact spot where Manisha Koirala was sitting at 28 minutes 20 seconds. Other films to feature Pangong Lake was 3 Idiots, Sanam Re, Jab Tak Hai Jaan and few others. Bhag Milka Bhag was shot at Nubra Valley, and I would say it really takes extreme fitness level to run with a tire tied to your waist in the desert, that too at a high altitude. Situated at a height of almost 4,350 meters, Pangong Lake is the world's highest saltwater lake. It is 160 km long, and almost 40% of it is with India and the rest is with Tibet. It's locally called as Pangong Tso, which means high grassland lake. The blue color of the lake comes from the blue sky above, and if it's cloudy, you won't see the lake as bluish as it is. And no, this huge lake doesn't have a single fish in it. The cotton clouds, arid mountains and blue waters is what makes Pangong a must visit. You can sit for hours near the lake and not get bored at all. The feeling you get here actually can't be expressed in words, and I would urge you to come down here whenever possible. If you want to visit Pangong Lake in a day and come back, it will take at least 12 hours from Leh or from Nubra, both. So plan your trip accordingly. It's best to stay at Pangong for a night and then travel back so that you get more time to spend at the lake. And while going back, Dubruk is a junction where you take a left for Leh and right for Nubra Valley. On the way to Leh, before reaching the Changla Pass, there's a place called Turtuk where boating happens. You can give it a try if you like boating. The road to and from Changla Pass on the top is a mud road, and hence is very bad, and with occasional streams of water it becomes more hard to drive on it. So if possible, avoid driving to Pangong Lake from Leh and coming back on the same day. Either stay at Pangong or drive to Nubra Valley. Changla is one of the highest mountain passes in Ladakh and is also claimed to be the third highest mountain pass in the world. Changla, Warila and Khardung La are all parallel on the map and it lies in the Ladakh mountain range. We're heading back to Leh for the last night in Ladakh. Don't forget to visit the Leh market, which I couldn't show in this video. It's like a hangout place for almost all the tourists coming here. Ladakh is a very different place than the majority of India and you will really be enchanted by it. The people here are friendly and helpful. I'm not a mountain person, but I was amazed by this place and it feels like something has changed in me forever. This is a view from the plain above Ladakh as we bid goodbye to the mighty mountains. This trip was made possible by Countryside Adventure Holidays, Mumbai. I have put a link to their website below if someone is planning to go to Ladakh post the lockdown. Some important tips. Apart from your winter wear, please do carry a lip balm, sunglass, something to cover your mouth, nose and ears, a cap, hat or a hoodie. These are very important when in Ladakh. At some places it gets very windy and hence a hoodie makes you comfortable. Portable oxygen cans are available at the Leh airport at 399 rupees per can. You can also ask your hotel guys to arrange for oxygen cylinder to be kept in your taxi as a backup, obviously with an extra charge. Permits can be taken online nowadays or can also be taken after reaching Ladakh. A travel agent takes care of both these aspects. Now, for those who drink alcohol, there are only few bars and pubs in Leh. If you want to buy alcohol, the liquor shop is at the Leh market and I guess that's the only shop in the whole of Leh.
We are delighted to announce the introduction of flight to Dubai and Bangkok as well as additional flight to Muscat and Abu Dhabi to make your travel more comfortable. For more details and special offers, please log in to our website www.goair.in. We look forward to welcome you on board our flight. Once again, thank you for choosing to fly with Goair.
Thank you.